Out with the old and in with the new. It's time to save big at Room to Room's New Year's sale. Store-wide markdowns 50 to 70% off. No tax. 48-month special financing. It's a new year at Room to Room Furniture in Tupelo. There's no place like home.
At First Choice Bank, we know you can't always make it before the bank closes. With our integrated teller, you can talk to a live person as late as 7 p.m. on weekdays and noon on Saturdays. It's not just an ATM, it's an ITM. First Choice Bank, your choice for banking.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather This Morning.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. Thanks as always for tuning in and joining us on Mississippi Live Weather This Morning at 7:30. I'm meteorologist Maggye McCauley. I hope you have your cup of coffee and you're ready to go this morning. I hope it's a hot cup of coffee too, because we're looking at another cold start to your day. Temperatures right now in the 20s across the board for a lot of us. Again, we're live from the Room to Room Weather Center. Here's a few things you need to know as you're headed out and about today and even throughout your week ahead. Number one is it's still cold out there this morning. If you have not left the comfort of your home, it is another day where you need the thick coat. And if you think this is cold, we have even colder air coming. Another thing is scattered showers are returning midweek. We're going to be dealing with rain before we're dealing with this third headline, right? So rain going to be coming in as we head Wednesday into your Thursday, and then winter precip more likely. This winter system looking more and more likely as we get day in and day out to be more impactful to us here in North Mississippi. And we're going to continue to track out the latest on that. I have our chief meteorologist, Matt Lafon, in here with me this morning to look at everything that we know as of now, right, Matt, for this winter system that's coming Friday, Saturday, potentially into Sunday too.
Absolutely, and we'll talk a lot more about this here in a minute. But I think one of the big headlines you're talking about is confidence is greater than usual at this distance out. A lot of times, I do not like talking about winter storms more than really 2 days out. And today is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, some beginning around Friday, but really Saturday possibly the prime day. And we are going to be fighting some difference there between colder temperatures and warmer temperatures with this. This is one of many projections we could show, what we call the European, which does show cold air just to the north of us into your Thursday, into your Friday. Obviously, we're cold, but the really, really cold air spills in as we go into Saturday. What we're looking at here, as you can show, some teens there. 10 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. I don't know that that positioning and that everything to do with this is perfect there, Maggye, but it's just one of a lot of signs that we have higher than confidence level than maybe usual, that we're talking about cold air with this system and moisture aligning. As you can see behind you, and I know you'll talk a lot more about that coming up in a couple of minutes, we expect, it's reasonable to have some travel disruptions with this. How much travel disruption? What type of precipitation, and the other things related to the confidence level on this. We'll talk a lot more about that coming up in a couple minutes. But as you're showing there with the winter forecast timeline, we're still fairly early, but this is unfortunately more likely to have impacts than maybe usual, right?
Yeah, no, that's right. And I know we've been talking about it days in and days out. Caleb talked about it even this weekend, because even 6 to 8 days out, we were looking at a higher than usual, like Matt was saying, confidence level with our models that were coming in, and they were consistent with each other on the potential for a winter system. Now we're looking for the consistency. Our confidence level is continuing to increase. We're looking at this makes sense. And then in the coming days, what we're going to be doing, what a lot of us y'all are wanting to know right now, this is what we're going to be doing over the next few days. Me, Matt, Gabe, Caleb too, of course, we're going to be making that forecast. We're going to be looking at overall timing, location, and the specifics of what precip type you're going to be getting and the overall totals of that in the coming days. It's just a little bit too early to be giving you that information right now, as things could still very well change, especially in terms of your precip type. But one thing, again, that we are confident in is a winter system is pretty likely to be on the way here for North Mississippi, especially as we head Friday into Sunday. But our overall question still remains where the overall axis is going to set up for this in terms of rainfall that's looking likely to our south, mixed precipitation looking likely for especially areas south of 82. But a lot of models different on this right here, where that snow versus sleet and freezing rain line is going to be setting up. Some of that has snow a little bit further off to the south. Some of it keeps it to our north. So overall, that's the question mark. Those are the questions that we're going to be answering in the coming days of where exactly that axis does set up for us here in North Mississippi. Are we going to be getting majority snow or majority of mixed precipitation? We're going to be looking at the consistency again in our models of that. We'll also look at higher range models, better model input that comes in again as we get closer to Friday, Saturday, and Sunday as well. So what you need to know though right now is a winter system is on the way. I don't want to leave though this block without not telling you the forecast for today. Let's talk about your first 12 hours. For today, temperatures are chilly. We're going to be getting into the 20s, middle 20s to upper 20s over your 8 o'clock hour, upper 30s by 11, 40s as we head 2 o'clock and on. So today, yeah, a lot like yesterday, a lot of sunshine in the forecast as well, into those middle 30s as we head 8 o'clock and on. Also, one thing to note before we get into that winter system, I know that's what everybody wants to see. That's what everybody's talking about. But before we get there, we're also looking at rain on your Wednesday. So as we get through today, you're good to go. Going though into your Wednesday, we're looking at a system coming in, bringing us just rain out here for midweek. So any plans out there on your Wednesday, you're going to want to grab the rain gear out there for you. Showers likely, especially in the back half of the day, continuing into your evening as well. And then on your Thursday, likely to see the shower activity continue for folks that are mainly south of 82. So that's midweek, all before this next system arrives. And again, I'm going to show you that one more time for the weekend with that winter system on the way. Our model's pretty consistent that we're going to be seeing some type of mixed precipitation. But again, a lot of question marks in the overall timing and location of where that mixed precipitation is going to be setting up. So coming up next, we'll talk about our confidence levels in our impacts. Of course, we'll look at more of an hour by hour forecast of what's going to be going on into the weekend. We'll look at the different model runs. Matt will be back and we'll look at what things are different between the model runs, what exactly they're going to be saying going into the weekend. Of course, a full breakdown of the latest of what you can expect as we head further on into that potential winter system that's going to be coming into play Friday, Saturday, into Sunday, all coming up right after this.
Game day brings its ups and downs, celebration and disappointment, anxiety and relief, friends and enemies. You can always argue over who should have won, but everyone can agree on great food. Appetizers, entrees, drinks, party platters, or even the taste of sweet victory. There's something for every season at Eat With Us restaurants.
As a bankruptcy firm, Mitchell, Cunningham & Bowling realizes many people are worried about their finances. We're here to guide you through the next steps to restart your life with easy video appointments. New clients don't have to leave home to get information about becoming debt-free. Also, convenient in-office appointments are available at the low cost of $340 upfront for a Chapter 13. You can be on your way to being debt-free. Contact Mitchell, Cunningham & Bowling today or visit our website at mcdebtfree.com. We are here to help you. Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's meteorologist Maggye McAuley.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. I'm meteorologist Maggye McAuley, and we have our chief meteorologist Matt Lawpon behind the scenes that's going to be jumping in as we get closer to talking about that all-important weekend forecast with the potential for some winter impacts, pretty likely even going into the new model runs that we've been seeing this morning. Want to take you throughout your day first, right? Though we have to get through a few days before we get into that winter system. Here's a look at your day planner ahead. Temperatures in the 30s all the way throughout your mid-morning. So still chilly out the door this morning, 34 by 10, upper 30s by your 11 o'clock hour. High temperatures today getting to the 40s for most, some 50s out there as well. 43 over in Alcorn County, 47 Houston, 49 down in Eupora. Yeah, a few 50s out there from Greenwood, Belzona, Greenville as well. Going over the next few hours, we're looking good to go for your Tuesday. Enjoy the dry and calm conditions while we have them, right? Because things are really about to pick up here in the weather department. Even going into your Wednesday, even though we're not seeing any winter precipitation on on your Wednesday. We are seeing rain out there that's going to be coming into play. I think most of us are going to be getting out and about out here on your Wednesday, good to go for your morning commute, but rain looking more and more likely as we head noon and on out here on your Wednesday. So getting through this system before we get into your weekend, right? So rain likely noon and on out there going into your day tomorrow, even lingering into those dinner time plans as well. Not looking at anything severe, but could see a few heavier downpours in the mix as this continues to push in out there for your Wednesday. This will linger into the overnight hours and even into your Thursday, looking at rain likely mainly in areas south of 82, Golden Triangle region and south of that, lingering out there for your Thursday as well. But a lot of us also stay dry, about a 30% chance out there of rain going throughout your day on your Thursday for an isolated shower chance. Here, though, is what everybody is talking about, what everybody wants to know, your weekend forecast. It is going to be downright cold. If you thought the last few days have been cold, take a look at this weekend. We're looking at temperatures on Saturday and Sunday not getting above 32 degrees. Downright cold out there both days. Saturday is the main day we're going to be watching for the potential of that wintry mix. That's the main day we're going to be watching for that potential to be coming in. Could be lingering into your Sunday. Again, we're keeping our eye on the overall models. The models, a lot of them lingering that into early Sunday morning as well. So this wintry mix, we changed our confidence level or our wording from possible to more like probable and likely. Again, this is looking to come in out there on your Friday evening. I would even encourage you to say any plans after kids get let out of school on your Friday afternoon, know where you're going to be and stick there, because we are looking at this coming into play for your evening hours and continuing to Saturday. Now, I know a lot of you guys are looking at these colors, wouldn't necessarily hang on to those too tightly, because we're looking at a lot of model runs taking that snow a little bit further south, or even sticking it north is where this is. So then again, that blue is snow, that pink is that mixed precipitation, that potential for, again, a wintry mix, sleet, freezing rain, that ice that we're going to be watching for. What we know now, though, is this is likely to come into play, but that overall axis is the big question mark that we're going to be watching for in those new model runs day to day. But that wintry mix likely even throughout your Saturday, good portion of Saturday, this is going to be ongoing. So I encourage you, if you have any plans, make sure to keep them indoors. Don't get out if you don't have to get out on the roadways, because impacts are pretty likely. And even if you see that, I know Matt is watching behind the scenes, even seeing that kind of little jump of moisture happening in our strike model as well as we head later on in the day on Saturday. So this is what we're watching, the potential of that warm air to come into play that, again, could give us between nice snow to the potential of some ice impacts. Thoughts, Matt?
Yeah, that is honestly the biggest concern. How does that end up playing out? Because I do think that, again, folks have this vision of beautiful, fluffy snow, and there's no guarantees that that ends up being the way in which this plays out. But that doesn't mean the impacts necessarily change. You get decent snowfall, you get any ice, you're going to have travel disruptions. Let's pick this up as we go kind of nitty gritty, and then we'll again kind of reinforce kind of the winter threats and things like that, and kind of the impacts, and confidence on that coming up here in a couple minutes. But this is a look, a kind of gritty look behind the scenes at some of the projections we look at this time frame out. You saw that little warm nose would be one way in which we would describe that little bit of warmth trying to work its way northward. I have a bunch of different projections here. Again, we're still far enough out that we're not in our highest resolution projections as we're looking at this. And this time frame that I'm showing you here is what we'd say 12Z Saturday. So basically 6 a.m. Saturday morning, right? And you'll notice we still have some spots like the Golden Triangle above the freezing point at that point, at least depending on which projection here that we're talking about. Notice, though, in particular where Maggye is up here in northwest Mississippi, we show some mid-teens out there. And so somewhere in the 20s to teens, the northwest part of the state, almost all of our projections say, hey, we're below freezing up there, probably in the teens. And that means probably dealing with a decent amount of snowfall out of this for locations there. But almost all those projections have at least some spots farther south where we're a little bit warmer. And so that north-south contrast there is, again, the difference between some kind of a mix that might be primarily rainfall even at this point here early in the morning on Saturday, and then snowfall up north. And in between is where you get that greatest likelihood of that icing. Maybe that icing could be sleet, it could be freezing rain, it could be snowfall a combination therein. Okay, so that's just one time frame there. I can show you a bunch of other stuff, but rather than showing you a bunch of different things, I want to talk you through the way in which this goes sideways. First off, obviously, any icing, any snow, travel becomes what travel becomes here in Mississippi. It's just bad. Okay, so let's look above the surface then here at temperatures in particular. And so the reason we're going to look at that, and we'll see if this will populate in here the way I'm hoping it would. I'm going to go up to 850 millibars here. We'll see if that will pop in. The data's been so-so this morning on whether or not it's going to play nice here. Oh, come on. There we go. Okay. So what we're looking at on these as they kind of populate in, I shouldn't have clicked more than one thing. Look at you can't really see the bottom scale at the bottom there, but I'd be looking for kind of this darker green color right there. That would be freezing temperatures aloft in the atmosphere here. So we're looking above the surface, about half a mile or so to a mile above the surface, something like that. And so even if temperatures at the surface, we showed you a moment ago, are really pretty cold out there, you go up above the surface and those temperatures are much milder. And so that means that what starts off as maybe snowfall aloft melts into something else because of this warm air moving northward. That's one of the confounding factors when we start looking at what type of precipitation we're going to end up getting, because the type comes strongly back to this. And again, we encourage you to join the conversation, join our chat discussion here behind the scenes as well, so we can kind of talk about and be interested. Obviously, we're always interested in what you guys are interested in as far as that is concerned there. But certainly looking at some potential there for some melting into something else. Another way in which we can kind of show this, we'll see if this is going to fully populate in. Again, I'm going to show you kind of far too early look at one of our ensembles. And again, this looks at the possibility that, we could see something other than, rainfall. We'll look at potential snowfall accumulations. Don't get attached to numbers on this, and thankfully numbers don't really show up, but look at location. And this, basically the next week or so, and I'll point with my little pointer here as well. Can't see because it's blue. I guess I have a finger, natural pointer. But notice how the majority of these do have at least some kind of snowfall up into Tennessee, and some of that intruding into North Mississippi, right? So this shows us that most projections have some sort of wintry snowfall. And so the takeaway on that should be we have pretty consistent outputs of something wintry on this. But it all comes back to, again, this graphic here, the warm air aloft. And Maggie, that is the difference between the fluffy stuff that people are excited and hoping to see and honestly, something else that we could end up seeing out of this here. So I'm going to bring you back on screen. It does look like I may have lost control a little bit of kind of behind the scenes on the switcher there. So you might actually have to click it back to the double box here for a second if you could for me. Yep. And then we'll kind of go from there. But yeah, I think the big headline is that we do expect that we'll have some kind of a mix out of this system before we're all said and done.
Right. I think we're pretty high on confidence that some folks are probably going to get snow and some are going to get ice here in North Mississippi. Even a week out, we were kind of in the mix of things and we're still kind of there. But the big overall question is, where does that line get, right? Who of us does get the nice snow and who doesn't? And that's something definitely that we're going to be looking at, especially with our high resolution
ultimately,
models.
Maggie, the thing is that graphic that's sitting next to you is infinite. We want to know snowfall amounts. We want to know ice. But what you have next to you is the only thing that actually matters at this point and helps you prepare, right? And the preparation and understanding the impacts is most important.
Yeah, no, that's right. Take a look at our winter threats graphic. This is looking at Friday night into your weekend, talking about our confidence levels versus what the main impacts we're looking at are going to be. Level 2 for a majority of this, especially as we're looking at ice accumulations and snow accumulations. About a level 2. Pretty likely that we're going to see both of these, but the overall question again remains, who's going to see what with these that we're going to be looking at over the next few days. And then also that level 2 with the heaviest rainfall is really looking to be more in south and central Mississippi. Main thing that we're looking at, that we're honing in on, that we're telling you day in and day out is this level 3, that travel impacts are going from possible that we've seen over the past few days to probable and likely going into your weekend. So that is the thing that we're going to be really honing in on. This system is likely to push in. Everybody wants to know totals. What you really need to be doing, though, is just preparing as you go into your weekend. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I would not travel if I did not have to. I'd be preparing you and your household for some very cold temperatures as well. Make sure you have adequate heating. Make sure your neighbors around you have that as well. And then also, if you got any pets outside, it's cold, make sure they have what they need as we get into the weekend. So that's the number one thing that we're going to be looking for, is those travel impacts. And also, if you have any plans, I know there's still things ongoing into your weekend, I would take some serious consideration in moving those to maybe next weekend, so you're not getting folks out on the roadways as well. So this graphics is what we're really going to be showing over the next few days. And again, continuing to hone in on those impacts as we get over the next few days as well. And we just want to encourage you, keep checking up with the forecast, keep here with Mississippi Live Weather. Make sure you have the app downloaded, as well as we're going to continue to update you in the coming days. But we just encourage you now to be preparing you, your household. Make sure your friends and family are prepared as well as we go into the weekend. Here's a look at your 7-day forecast. It is a rainy one before it is a somewhat snowy one going into your weekend. Take a look at the 7-day forecast. We're middle 40s out here on your Tuesday. We are near 50 Wednesday into Thursday, with that rain likely on your Wednesday. Enjoy the temperatures in the 40s and 50s because it falls from there. We're in the 40s for Friday afternoon, falling throughout the day, with that potential of snow and wintry mix coming in the back half of the day. Saturday and Sunday, one thing I really want to hone in here is Saturday and Sunday do not get above freezing. So even with whatever is going to be falling Friday into Saturday sticking on your Sunday, another thing is just how cold it's going to be. So again, just making sure you, your friends and family are prepared for that as well. And Matt, any thoughts on the cold on Saturday and Sunday, not brushing past that by any means?
No, and that's again another impact. Frozen pipes. You know, when you go for a period of time there where you don't have as much sun and you're below freezing, that's where we're most vulnerable there. So make sure to cover up those outdoor spigots. Our friends over at Absolute Cleaning and Restoration giving away these, you know, sort of foam sort of covers. But I mean, you can take care of that with a towel around it. You can get the things at a local hardware store. All, I think, options as well. But yeah, I mean, that has the potential for impacts. You know, the next question, obviously, folks are talking about in the chat there is what's the possibility that we have, you know, some how do I put it, school impacts next week. I would say it's probable somebody, I'm not saying any specific person here, but probable somebody still has some issues into the first part of next week. Do you agree?
No, I agree. And even that Monday temperature, we are continuing to trend temperatures down, right? For the weekend, we have continued to trend it down because that's what models are trending. Monday, I said 35 this morning. I took it down from what you guys said yesterday evening. I wouldn't be surprised if this evening y'all update that even further down. So 35 on Monday, I think one of the things that
yeah, no, I think you're right. I think that's one of the things when you start talking about the different levels that affect confidence. I'm gonna see if I can put the chat up here, and then I'm gonna pop your audio back up with that while we're talking about that. And let's see, did it pop up? It did not. You know, okay. So go down there. For whatever reason, my computer is going in and out on connectivity. I don't know if yours is better. Click boxes. Go all the way down on boxes to the bottom, and there should be a chat that has my picture in it there. And I'm gonna disconnect my thing here and reconnect. I don't know why it's misbehaving today. At least it's today and not next week, or this weekend that we're talking about that, right? Give everything a good reboot.
Do you want your full shot open, Matt?
There should be no, there should be one down there that says chat at the bottom of boxes. It should say chat and has my picture in it as opposed to chat with. Well, hold on, I'm in. Here we go.
Okay, go ahead.
Let's see if that will. There we go. And now I'm going to pop Maggie's mic back up with me here as well. There we go. Can you hear? Are you there, Maggie?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, perfect. I want to kind of bring up everyone's chat there while we're kind of discussing this for a moment.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like I kind of sort of showed that on here, but when we look at the cold temperatures, this is, you know, I'm going to pop this up. Oh, did that break everything? Okay, no, that did just fine. Okay, so let's bring it back over here to this, which shows some of the temperatures here. And this would be what we sometimes call the Euro or the European. I'll make this a little bit bigger. And this is temperatures on Saturday morning on this. And again, look at how we have this like batch of like teens and 20s, but we also, again, looking into early Sunday here, we have this warmer air trying to creep northward. This is what we would call some kind of a snow eater, or something that would convert snow into something else and try to melt it. So again, this is one of the things we're watching for folks as we're looking in the chat here and wanting to know, Bruce, snow or ice, which is exactly what Eric was asking for. This is one of the things that messes with that. And by the way, Jeff Bailey asking, do I consider UK Met, Icon, and the short-range ensemble forecast? Yeah, we look at everything here. At this time frame out, I will almost always bet a little bit more on Euro and GFS than some of the other projections here. I'm hop in on your thoughts on that, of course, as well, Maggie. But this is some of that warmer air. But if I were to go a little deeper into the future, there's just a ton of cold air behind this that flows in, and this is what Maggie was talking about there for early Monday morning. And Euro's not as cold as some, but you have just kind of an ice box back out here to Arkansas, and that's something we're going to be fighting, looking at questionable model data all week, is the model takes what's happened before and figures that into what will happen in the future, right? And so because the model is looking and saying, hey, I've dumped a ton of snow out here into Arkansas, that then works to kind of refrigerate things to where it stays colder ahead of that. So these are all kind of a domino effect. If you get the significant snowfall back northwest, then by Monday it's easier to get really, really cold air to stick around here. So where there's been a lot of snowfall, it kind of works to refrigerate things. It reflects back the sun's light effectively, and it just overall makes it colder. And so one thing, on those really, really cold temperatures in the next week, I mean, again, one projection, one time here, but I'm showing actual temperatures, negative yuck. I mean, you can read. I'm not going to say that out loud, but you can read out there into Arkansas, back where Maggie's from. Mom and Dad excited about that?
Yeah, I don't think so. But one thing to note is how cold it's going to be, and thinking about Monday morning, like, yes, some of us might get above freezing in the afternoon of Monday, but thinking of folks back on the roadways on Monday morning is a completely different story. So that's going to be something that a lot of administrators are going to have to think about over the weekend, depending on what particularly happened in their area. Also, I saw somebody else on the chat, Matt, ask about a foot of snow. This is another one of those systems. I've had multiple people send me this about their iPhone weather, Apple weather app, or just their Microsoft app on their phone saying 8 to 12 inches of snow. This is one of those things that your phone cannot predict because it is not looking at the different model runs. It goes off of one model run, sending it to you. It has no idea what's going to happen. That's just
absolutely. It's the beauty of technology is you can get what one model run is saying at one point in time on your phone now in your weather app, which is great, except for it's probably not right, because then the next time it comes in, it's like, oh, no snow. Well, then it's 5 inches of snow. Well, then it's nothing. And it goes back and forth on all these crazy projections there, and that's hopefully where we provide a little bit of clarity on how all of that works in with this here. And that's why we obviously recommend that you download the Mississippi Live weather app. Obviously we believe in it, or we wouldn't be talking about it here. Free and available for all those different devices. But at this time frame here, if I were showing you snowfall accumulations or Maggie, it would go back and forth. I mean, it's just too far out to note that, which is why the graphic that Maggie's standing in front of is the single most important graphic you will see today, because it talks about both confidence in different things as well as the impacts we could end up seeing on those. And obviously, Maggie, those impacts, kind of revolve around some travel disruption possibility.
Yeah, that's right. And we're not saying we're not eventually going to post or talk about the different accumulations that will happen into the weekend. But what we are saying is right now, even if we showed you them, they could be completely different going 2-3 days out from now. So we don't want to bring you false information that we're not sure of. So that's why these confidence levels are really important. Again, we are confident that some of us are probably going to see accumulating snowfall, and some of us are going to be seeing some accumulating ice or sleet. the question mark again remains on who gets what, and that's what we'll be watching for over the next few days. And then number one that we're really watching for is those travel impacts, and that again lingers all the way into Monday. So everybody's watching this already into the weekend, and I know we're going to continue to watch it as folks are going to try to get out and about back on your Monday morning. So definitely something to continue to think about over the weekend. And again, have the app downloaded, continue to watch as we really hone in on who gets that ice versus who gets that snow, Matt.
Okay, so here's the question. Just from a forecast standpoint and thinking about that graphic you're standing in front of here.
Yep.
I still feel good about level 3. I would almost be tempted to go up another level on confidence on that because of the confidence in some kind of travel impacts. I had someone mention a minute ago they have some kind of cheerleading competition, this weekend. And in my comment when I replied back to Tiffany with her name, I was just like, yeah, no.
Oh, I see it. No. And yeah, that's funny.
I would, the thing is, I would just at this stage here not feel particularly comfortable with a whole lot of stuff scheduled this weekend. It is entirely possible that stuff gets canceled too early, but I would be at least mentally planning around changing, my plans this weekend. I was watching the national championship game with some friends whose family's coming down from Virginia to watch their grandson or our friend's son get baptized this weekend at church. And I was like, yeah, I'm not real sure that they're going to be doing that come Sunday.
Yeah.
That's a long trip to make to then get stuck here for a period of time. But it's all just
No,
kind
and
of
even travel. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I mean, it's just that's the thing. There's a whole lot of things that are on the tipping point here. There's tons of cold air, and anytime we have tons of cold air close, and we're going to have moisture for multiple days, almost always at some point in there does it line up to have something wintry, especially when you look at West Mississippi to East Mississippi, north half of the state, which is basically what we cover. It's likely somebody's going to have some issues. And I do see Kim mentioned in the chat, and I'll pop the chat up and I'll pop your audio back up with it here.
Yeah. Go ahead.
That Kim mentioned in the chat, MDOT get the brine ready. Here is the issue with the brine. And I'm going to see if I can pop your audio back up. The brine only kind of sort of works once it rains. And so if there's any rainfall on the front end of this, that brine messes it all up. And if you get too great a quantity, the brine, not the brine messes it all up, but the rain messes the brine up. And it's just, there's a lot of factors that go in on this, and there's a limited supply of that to begin with. So one of the questions I see Kelly asking is, what time will it get here? And Maggie, you've looked at some of the latest timing again this morning. I would say kind of based on what we were looking at last night, it could be as early as, still second half of Friday there that we see perhaps something. I see behind it there on the wintry mix, and I'm going to pop it back again here to the double box you're showing, that, there's our projection here, and this is our strike model, which I thought was maybe too aggressive last night, but it is consistent on its kind of early timing.
Yeah, it is probably a little bit more aggressive, but just showing what the earliest model runs are putting it at. And again, we're more likely of seeing this afternoon and evening of Friday, but some models, like our strike model, trying to push it earlier and earlier, even on noon on Friday. But we'll know really specific timing, that exact time frame going over the next few days. It's really like chunks of time that we're working with right now. And this is the earliest that our model runs have been putting it, which is noon on Friday. Again, more likely of seeing it afternoon and evening, but we're watching, that's for sure.
Absolutely. I'm going to bring the chat up again here as we're kind of trying to answer some questions here, and appreciate you guys for supporting us here at Mississippi Live Weather. Eat bread and get all fat. Well, there's probably going to be some bread and milk and all that kind of stuff that is in there. And thankfully, Drew, we have some filters to stop whatever else we were going to say there. Sticky, I guess. Folks excited for some snowfall, perhaps a little farther south, and I'll pop Maggie's audio back up there because it looks like her audio is not on that.
I was just going to say, Matt, that I did a Walmart order for today, so I am trying to get ahead of the game because would I go and buy all the milk and bread like everybody usually does? No. But should you be prepared when you're going to Walmart this week that you might not be able to get out this weekend? Yes. So that's my thoughts. You don't have
Text
to buy
my
all of it,
wife.
though.
Maggie just did it. ... We probably need to make sure we have all the things we need from Walmart. Period. Just a heads up. Period.
Listen, when you have, and you know this, Matt, when you have kids, I'm like, let's go ahead
No.
and get the milk. I don't want to have to get out again. So that is something to be prepared for. And that includes the travel impacts. I agree with taking that to another level, especially y'all going on this evening, if things stay consistent, because it's something to prepare for all week, right? You want to make sure you're getting it done now and not later. So, yep. I
Absolutely.
got the
And just preparing accordingly. Things will change. And one of the cool things is we're blessed to have Maggie, our meteorologist, Maggye McCauley, will be giving you updates again tomorrow morning, 6:30, 7, 7:30 a.m. here on Mississippi Live Weather this morning. And obviously we expect this forecast to change where we're going to be adjusting it even tonight. But every morning of the weekday mornings, we're going to have updates for Maggie. I do not know how our coverage situation is going to look coming up Saturday and Sunday. We're going to obviously do probably significant additional coverage as information comes in, talking not just to you, but officials around the area to understand what your impacts are. Check Maggie out. And by Monday of next week, as I'll bring Maggie back in here, I think it's highly likely that we'll probably have, again, some kind of disruptions to people's expectations for this, whether or not they're going to school next Monday. And it won't be everybody, Maggie, but obviously with really, really cold air on the way in, even into possibly Tuesday, Wednesday next week, we could be talking about something that falls starting mainly Saturday, but Friday, but mainly Saturday, that sticks around for a few days into next week. Those back roads, when you get out there, and some of the back roads sometimes there are issues.
Yeah, exactly. Especially those school bus routes that they have to take are going to be something that we're going to watch for. And I do encourage y'all to watch Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I do live up here in Northwest Mississippi in Senatobia, which I'm putting my fingers together, hoping that we get mainly snow. And so that's something that we're going to be showing along with officials and everything going into the weekend. So it's definitely something that you're going to be stuck in the house anyway. You might as well tune in and see what's going on across the area Saturday, Sunday, and of course
Absolutely.
back on Monday morning too.
And so someone was asking, if Walmart was paying us to mention them as opposed to, say, Brooks or Todd's or some of these other local area grocery stores. No, that just happened to be, the discussion back and forth. But we got sucked into a minute ago there. No product placement on that there, though that has always been the suspicious, what's the word I'm looking for, conspiracy theory from the get-go. No, I mean, it's just about appropriate preparation. There wouldn't be any issues here. Like, I'm just running low on my coffee milk. That's the only milk I need. Need some coffee milk, don't I? Or did you get it? That's look. Anyway, so there's a few things we've got to prep on there as well. Someone mentions they'd like to use local grocery stores, and we try to, of course, support local as much as possible here. Hence the reason is you can see the number of advertisers that we do have there. We try to rotate through. These are people that in some cases run commercials, IDs, sponsor the radar in the case of Mama Justice there. Again, support those people that support us here on Mississippi Live Weather. It makes this sustainable because, as you might have noticed, you have not paid money for anything. But let me absolutely tell you, everything that you witness costs money. And in some cases, quite a bit of it. Yep. So the support that you give these folks and the fact that you tell them, hey, thank you for supporting Mississippi Live Weather, it makes obviously a big difference here. So as we kind of wrap things up, I'm going to bring back here to Maggie again, and our 7-day our forecast. Actually, hold on. I'm going to bring up probably a double box there. Probably the easiest way to do that for a minute. Obviously, things will change the next few days here. But you hit one thing that I don't want to gloss over on this, and that is the way the temperatures after some point late Friday fall and then don't come back above the freezing point until maybe Monday. It's a multi-day period where we're below freezing. That enhances the likelihood of having frozen pipes, having other issues, and then obviously having consistent travel disruptions over that period as well.
Yeah, that's right. Again, there's so many impacts to be made with this. travel impacts, but also those impacts, because if there is any icing, any potential with power outages, that just makes things immensely more dangerous when we don't get above freezing for multiple days out. So definitely something that we're paying attention to Saturday, Sunday, into Monday as well. So Monday morning, again, we're keeping our eye on that for folks that are headed back out and about, because temperatures, some of us might get above it, some of us might not, depending on what you get and if models kind of teeter towards the colder end of things going into Monday. So I encourage you, though, keep checking back up with Matt and Gabe this evening, because they're probably going to be adjusting that even further than I did this morning. And of course, impacting or changing those impacts as well, Matt. But one thing we do have to get over before we get there is the rain that comes Wednesday into Thursday. I know everybody's looking forward to the weekend. Everybody's just looking at that, wondering what's going to happen. We do have another system coming Wednesday into Thursday. Just rain, though. And then we get into the potential winter impacts going into your weekend. But any final thoughts,
Absolutely.
Matt, going into Saturday, Sunday?
Yeah, I want to pop up that chat one more time and address something that I'm so thankful that you brought up a minute ago here, and I don't think it's off there yet. Tiffany Hatch, right about there, says, hey, I'm seeing through my phone that Holly Springs is supposed to receive 25 inches of snow on Saturday. Is that true? No. Now, in the wildest of dreams, crazy things happen, but that's not typically a reality, right? But that is something that the phone will look at a certain amount of precipitation and say, oh, well, if I convert that evenly at that much moisture times this multiple, I get X number of inches of snow, right? It's preposterous. And I'll tell you this, I would love, Tiffany, or anybody out there, snap a picture. I think that's in the iPhone weather app. Someone showed me last night. You just snap a picture of that, and then tomorrow, snap a picture of that, and then Thursday, that's how far out we're at here, snap a picture of that, and Friday and Saturday, and see just how much that changes. I can't do that because I deleted the iPhone weather app a long time ago, because, dare I say, I have a better one. And one of the cool things about this is that we are able to specifically and intentionally adjust certain things. So in that explanation there, we had a discussion of this last night, and it's going to not quite work, but where it says winter precipitation on that, it says specifically, travel disruptions probable, a mix of rain, snow, and ice possible at a 70% coverage, temperature, what the temperature is, and then wind gusts. We haven't mentioned that, Maggie, and that is, one of the concerns. I'm going to come back here, double box with you for just a moment. One of the concerns on this is if you get into any kind of situation here where we do have icing and then you pair wind with that, that's when we start to have some major issues. And that is not a likelihood, but I will say it's not a likelihood at this point here, and so it's definitely on the table, unfortunately, that we could have a situation where you have some icing and then you do add wind to it, and that just compounds some of the problems.
Yeah, and that's definitely something we'll keep our eye on. Now, it's not the highest confidence level, but anytime, again, you said that you have ice, we're keeping a close eye on a lot of things, and that includes how high wind gusts do get going after that. One thing I did want to note is my snow in Senatobia says I'm getting 19 to 24 inches. So I just wanted to let you know that, Matt.
Hold on, how many?
But that 19 to 24.
How much did it say?
19 to 24, can you read? Yeah.
Isn't it funny that the error on that is a good snow event, right? If you're looking at what its error is, it's like that 5 inches between that is like, oh, that's great.
Yep. So anyway, I just wanted to make note of that because people have been sending it, but that's just another push towards our app that we are continuing to update.
And someone else was asking a question, if we have weather alerts on the app, we do have weather alerts, and there's a way to adjust those as well. Based on your location, you can monitor multiple locations on there, and you can get in and get nitty gritty and toggle any of that 10 zillion different alerts on and off on there. Mm-hmm. So including alerts that we have for our live broadcasts. And speaking of that, our next live broadcast will be coming up here this evening. I'll let you talk more about that, right, Maggie?
Yeah. Our next live broadcast is going to be at 5, 6, and 10. And I encourage you, again, to watch that because meteorologists Matt and Gabe will be adjusting the forecast when we go on at 5, 6, and 10. So maybe not heavily adjusting that comparison to what we showed this morning, but there will be some adjustments made within their 7-day forecast, also within our confidence levels and our overall impacts going into the weekend. So again, I encourage you to join us at 5, 6, and 10. They will be breaking down the latest of everything you need to know going into the weekend, the latest numbers, what the updated model runs are looking like, again, coming up at 5, 6, and 10. And you want to continue to look at that because model runs can and will change, even going day to day and day part to day part, morning to evening. We see things change, especially when it comes to these winter systems. So again, 5, 6, and 10, they'll be live from the Room to Room Weather Center. Make sure to tune in with them then. And of course, I'll see you back here on your Wednesday morning at 6:30.
Growing up, Gabe was naturally curious. When he began to discover weather, Gabe just didn't want to know what was happening, but he wanted to know why it was happening. Gabe became fascinated with tornadoes and it impacted his life. He wanted to pursue a career in meteorology. Even though Gabe grew up in Alabama, Mississippi has now become his home and his family. And one thing about Gabe is he keeps his family safe.